Welcome to Trauma Demystified, a podcast brought to you by Bright Horizon Therapies. I am Natalie Jovanich, your host on this journey. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to express my gratitude for all of you. Trauma Demystified has grown incredibly in 2024, and I'm deeply thankful for everyone who tunes in, shares the episodes, and supports this journey. Whether you're listening from Japan, Spain, Ireland, the United States, Norway, Latvia, Hong Kong, Canada, Australia, the UK, or anywhere else on this beautiful planet, your presence means a lot to me. I'm honored to share this space with you, and together we continued this powerful journey of healing, exploration, and growth. Today's episode is about 5 effective trauma counseling techniques, a practical and insightful look at tools to support your healing journey. Before we dive in, I want to acknowledge that in the last episode, I mentioned we would explore healing from complex trauma today. However, I decided to change the order and first focus on these foundational techniques I use regularly with my clients. I hope these tools bring you clarity and comfort and empowerment for your own healing journey. Let's start by understanding the foundation of healing, our brain's capacity to change. While trauma can profoundly affect our brains, the concepts of neuroplasticity and neurogenesis offer hope and possibilities for transformation. Neuroplasticity refers to the brain's ability to strengthen existing synapses, form new ones, and create new pathways. Meanwhile, neurogenesis is a process by which new neurons are formed in our brains. These processes mean that as adults, we can reshape our brains, foster growth and healing in our brains. And this is a really essential element in our healing journey. So trauma is not a lifetime sentence, but these two concepts allow us to heal and transform our brains. But how does this happen in practice? While understanding these concepts is essential, healing is deeply experiential. Each time we do something different, we can create new pathways. Imagination, for example, is a powerful neuroplastic agent that is widely used in trauma recovery. For those of you who struggle with visualizations, myself included, you can adapt these practices by, for example, writing stories, using memories of yourself, using photographs, or even using symbols. For example, if I visualize something, I may not see vivid images. I rather feel the experience in my body, and sometimes I have little glimpses of one image. But in the end, it is really equally effective, and all of these kind of practices allow us to change and heal our brains. Another key element in healing is developing an internal locus of control, which means cultivating a sense of agency in our lives and building interoceptive awareness, which involves connecting with the physical sensations of our bodies. So these two concepts are very important, and they build a strong foundation for recovery. And they are also very important to be empowered in our lives in general. So in this episode, we'll explore 5 practical strategies for trauma healing that are often used with my clients. And it doesn't really matter whether we use parts work therapy or EMDR or somatic approaches. So they are universally can be used for any kind of trauma counseling techniques that you're using. The strategies I present to you today include creating an inner safe space, which is about nurturing a sense of inner safety. The second practice is about breaking free from negative what-if scenarios that really can spiral into anxiety and that are very common when we have experienced trauma. The third one is a method to contain painful memories, which allows you to process them without feeling overwhelmed by them and also gives you a break. So it can also really help you to return to your window of tolerance over time. The fourth one is a practice to manage activated parts, and so it supports you with self-regulation and managing your emotions. And finally, it's about finding practices to connect you back with safety and connection, which is essential for building resilience and also applying polyvagal theory actively in your life. So each of these trauma recovery strategies is designed to nurture neuroplasticity and help you to take practical steps toward healing. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's begin this transformative journey together. So before I jump into the different practices, I want to share an important note. Since I will guide you through some of these practices, please make sure that you are in a safe space and not driving or doing any activity that requires your full attention. And so if you are currently in your car, maybe just listen to the episode, but don't go through the visualizations. As always, I encourage you to take the practices that resonate with you and leave the ones that don't. Please remember that these trauma recovery techniques are shared in a generic context and they don't replace professional support. I don't know necessarily what's going on in your life. I can just give you the tool. And so in some cases, you may need individualized help. So I encourage you to contact a mental health professional if you get stuck in these techniques or if you get stuck in your recovery journey. So let's look at the first trauma counseling technique, developing a safe inner space. So many people who have experienced trauma feel unsafe in the world. So for myself, safety has always been a really complicated concept. And I needed to find a way on how can I reestablish safety and define it in a way that's meaningful for me. While safety has different components, this practice can help you develop a sense of inner safety, which can serve you as a resource to reduce stress or anxiety. So in this practice, you will create your safe inner space. You can imagine it or simply think about it, whichever feels more comfortable for you. You can also do it with your eyes closed or open. If you're concerned about dissociating or going into bad memories, please keep your eyes open and focus on a point in front of you. It's not necessary that you have your eyes closed to go through these exercises. Remember, you can stop the visualization at any time if you feel discomfort, or you can also modify it to suit your needs. So you don't need to follow all the suggestions that I give you in the visualization. For example, if visualization doesn't work for you, you can also describe your safe space in words and tell it to yourself as if you were telling you a story. So to get started with this practice, please take a couple of breaths and really notice how the breath enters your body. Notice how it enters your nose and notice how it goes down in your body and how it leaves your body. Now notice how your feet touch the ground or any other part of your body that touches something. And really take a moment to check in how this feels for you. Now move your attention inward and just notice your body sensations. Just acknowledge them without judging them. Now focus on any emotions that might be there and acknowledge them without judging them. And now just notice any thoughts that are there and acknowledge them without judging them. And now I invite you to get to know your safe inner space. This space can be on Earth, but it does not have to be here. It can also be outside of Earth. Allow any thoughts, images, or ideas to appear from a space where you feel completely safe and secure. Now define the boundaries of this space according to your preferences. The boundaries are made of unique materials, so only you can decide which creature or animals you want to invite into this place. It is your space, and you choose who you want to allow inside. I ask you not to invite any people, but maybe you can invite a loving, invisible companion, a helper, or any being who can give you love and support. Now, please take a moment to settle into this space and notice how it feels to you. Please pay attention to how you experience it with all your senses. Notice what your eyes are seeing. Does it feel pleasant to your eyes? If something doesn't feel right, take a moment to adjust it so your eyes feel at ease. Tune into what you hear, to the sounds through your ears. If not, change them so that everything you hear feels good for you. Now check in with the temperature. Does it feel good for your body? If not, you can adjust it now to find the temperature that feels right for you. Notice your body's posture and movement. Can you move freely and maintain a posture that feels good? If not, adjust your position or environment so your body feels supported and harmonious. Finally, focus on the smells around you. Do they feel pleasant and comfortable? If not, change the smells around you and transform them into scents that ease and comfort your senses. Once again, settle into the space and pay attention to how it feels as you experience it. When you now sense that you feel entirely safe in this place and entirely comfortable, you can choose a small hand gesture. This gesture will help you return to this safe space in your imagination in the future. If you want to do this gesture, you can do it now. Now take one more breath to allow yourself to feel this space. And know you can go back to this space in your imagination whenever you want to. To end this exercise, please notice the boundaries of your body. Notice how your feet touch the ground or any surface you're sitting on. And notice how the earth sustains you. And then please come back into the room with your attention. So after completing the exercise, I invite you to take a moment to reflect. How do you feel now? Do you notice any changes in the sensations within your body? Do you feel maybe more grounded or more at ease? What shifts do you notice on an emotional level? Are there any changes in your thought patterns? If you notice even minor positive changes, consider whether you'd be open to practicing this exercise more regularly. Like any change process, the benefits of this practice deepen with consistent use. One of my instructors, Stacey Hines, once said in her training that we need to embody practices 300 times to use them under average stress circumstances, and about 3,000 times to apply them under high-stress situations. So just to give you an idea that it really requires persistence. And really be aware that every small change matters. Whether you feel 1% better or 10% better, it doesn't matter. Every small change really matters, and persistence is a key for your recovery. When I first learned about this exercise, I made it a daily habit for the first few months. Nowadays, I call on it in specific moments. For example, when I feel anxious about starting a presentation, or if I use public transportation. In those situations, I usually keep my eyes open and I just use the hand gesture to reconnect with my safe inner space. It really gives my mind a break and it really helps me to reset my nervous system in the moment. I encourage you to explore how this practice might fit into your life and to bring you more moments of calm and safety during your day. So now let's look at the second technique around effective trauma counseling, which is about containing memories. Generally, people who have experienced trauma often feel haunted by painful memories of their past experiences. These memories can be overwhelming and difficult to face all at once. That's why learning to practice of containing memories can be very helpful. Containing memories doesn't mean suppressing or avoiding your emotions. Instead, it's a way of making these memories more digestible so that you can process them when the time is right. Like, for example, if I work with a client with EMDR, at the end of the sessions, we always put the memories back into a container so that they can stay there until we have our next session. So how to contain memories? Imagination can be a powerful tool for this exercise. To begin, think of a memory with some emotional charge, but maybe not your most distressing one. When you have a memory in mind, ask yourself these questions. What imaginary container could hold this memory until you're ready to revisit it? How will you close the container to ensure it stays safe? Where do you want to keep this container? So when you have answered these questions, visualize putting the memory into the container, closing it, and putting the container away. There are no right or wrong answers to these questions. Your containers are personal and unique to you. Some people imagine Tupperware or submarines, while other people choose garbage cans or precious jewelry boxes. You might decide to keep the container in your home, bury it somewhere in the ground, or toss it into the sea, or even send it to the moon. Really trust your intuition and let your imagination guide you. So what if the memory comes out of the container? It's perfectly normal for memories to come out of the container from time to time. When this happens, imagine placing the memory back into the container. Sometimes you may notice you put a memory away and it doesn't feel fully put away. In this case, you can choose more than one container. Over time, the practice will start to feel easier and come to you more naturally. If visualization doesn't resonate with you, consider using a physical container instead. Write down the memories you want to contain on separate pieces of paper and place them into the container. This tangible approach can be just as effective in fostering a sense of control and allowing you to regulate your emotions. It can be beneficial if you feel overwhelmed by numerous memories. For instance, those memories stemming from experiences of childhood abuse or abusive relationships. Containing memories creates emotional boundaries and giving you space to focus on your daily life while ensuring that your memory is safely stored until you're ready to process them. Like any skill, this technique becomes more effective with regular practice. The third trauma counseling technique I want to present you is working with activated parts. As discussed in the episode about parts work therapy, creating a relationship with our internal parts is essential for trauma recovery, especially if we have experienced childhood abuse, complex trauma, relationship trauma, and also systemic trauma. Activated parts are typically the parts of us that experience heightened emotions, such as anxiety, fear, or anger. So here's how I use the technique when I feel heightened anxiety. So first of all, I check in my body and I notice where the anxiety is located. So for me, my anxious part is very often in my chest area. So when I notice the anxiety in my chest, I gently place my hand on my chest and I just allow myself time to feel the warmth of my hand. So I really notice the hand, I feel the warmth of it. I notice the shape of my hands on my chest. And I really give me some space to really allow me to experience that. I usually silently acknowledge the anxious part. So I may just say to the part, hey, I'm noticing you feel really anxious right now. I get it, it's really complicated. And I'm here for you, I see you. So the next step is to start sighing. So as I sigh, I visualize the anxious energy leaving my body. So I continue to sigh until my nervous system begins to calm down. Just to give you an example, so I may just start, so I continue to sigh until my nervous system begins to calm down. So when I use this practice with my clients, I usually sigh together with my clients. So how you can use this practice? When you notice heightened emotions, take a moment to check in with your body. Scan from head to toe and notice where you're feeling the emotion. It could be in your chest, stomach, throat, or anywhere else. Place your hand on the area where you feel the emotion and notice the sensation of your hand there. Silently acknowledge the part that is experiencing the emotion. Just see it just like a conversation you had with a good friend who feels these emotions. And you can, for example, say, hey, I'm noticing you feel really anxious or angry or sad right now, and I'm here for you. If you feel safe to do so, you can begin to sigh. Sighing activates the body's natural calming response. As a result, it helps you to reset your nervous system and return to your window of tolerance. So here are a couple of notes. Sighing may feel a bit unfamiliar at first, but it's a natural way the body releases tension and restores calm. I find sighing more helpful than breathing, especially if the emotions are extremely heightened. If sighing doesn't feel right for you, focus on your breath instead. As with any other skill, this practice requires patience and consistency. The more you practice, the more you'll notice how your body begins to respond. So I encourage you to try this the next time you experience a heightened emotion. Over time, you'll likely find it easier to calm your body and really connect with your activated parts, which will give you more capacity to emotionally regulate and to come back into your window of tolerance. And you will notice that you are more in control of your emotions. The fourth trauma counseling technique is finding antidotes to horror images. Experience to trauma can often cause our minds to wander to dark and painful places. These can be thoughts, images, and memories that feel overwhelming. These mental patterns can shape the neural pathways in our brains, creating a sense of helplessness and powerlessness because we can't control our thoughts. So it often feels as if we don't have any control about where our thoughts take us. However, by consciously choosing where we direct our focus, we can begin to shift these patterns. The key is not to suppress what is happening in your brain, but to offer yourself an inner choice, a way to counterbalance those painful dark images. We can create an antidote to these distressing images by recalling moments when we felt safe, calm, or joyful. These moments might be small, but they can offer a powerful way to interrupt the cycle of pain and create new pathways in our brains. So, for example, I remember the happiness I felt as a child when we went on a hike as a family, or the happiness I felt when we went on a camping trip. As an adult, I also have a very beautiful memory from a trip to Cambodia where I visited a temple. These memories can bring us comfort, even in the midst of anxiety and distress. So I would invite you to create your database of positive memories. The goal is to build a mental database of these positive moments, memories that evoked a feeling of safety, calmness, or joy. This can help you to focus on them when you choose to. You can practice connecting with them regularly through the day or precisely when your mind is overwhelmed by distressing images. By focusing on these positive memories, you give yourself a choice and allow yourself to interrupt the focus on the painful memories. This doesn't need to be for long. It can just be for a couple of seconds, but just be aware every small shift makes a difference in your brain. It's important to remember that each time you redirect your focus on these positive memories, you create new neural pathways in your brain. Over time, this process can rewire the way your brain responds to stress and trauma. If you find it difficult to recall any positive memories, you can start by asking yourself, if I could think of something positive for even a moment, what would it be? So it doesn't need to be a past memory. It can also be something you hope to do someday in the future. One strategy that works for many people is to really reconnect with those small moments when we as children naturally experience joy. So think about simple pleasures, just like seeing how the sun creates flowing lines on the wall, or think about the joy of jumping in puddles. For some people, animals work really well. So for example, think about a moment when you saw two squirrels playfully chasing each other around the tree. These small, seemingly insignificant moments can really be powerful anchors for your brain when it feels overwhelmed. So the science behind this practice is rooted in neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new pathways. So each time we revisit these positive memories, we strengthen different neural connections, counteracting the negative reinforcement of painful memories. Much like filling a bowl with happiness, just to balance another bowl with unhappiness. This practice creates more space for joy and calm in our mind. Reclaiming joy is really a vital part of trauma recovery because trauma often completely disconnects us from a sense of joy. It's important to understand that this practice isn't about ignoring reality or pretending life is always positive. Life naturally encompasses both positive and negative experiences. However, for those who have experienced trauma, the boat of painful memories often feels really overwhelming. And so the practice offers a way to create a balance, a path to cultivate new pathways that allow us to balance the painful memories with this bowl of happiness. As you continue this practice, recalling joyful moments will become more natural. Even if your experiences of happiness feel limited compared to others, you will find that focusing on the positive aspects of life is a worthwhile endeavor. I once had an experience of profound trauma where I really felt disconnected from any of my memories of joy. And really, this practice helped me to come back and reclaim this aspect of me that was disconnected in the experience. Additionally, trauma recovery often becomes more manageable when you begin filling the bowl of happiness before diving into deeper trauma work. This is essential part of healing. So it's not all about going to the darkest memories, but really building this capacity to also focus on joy is important for recovery. If this practice doesn't feel accessible for you right now, I invite you to start by writing down 5 things you feel grateful for each day. Gratefulness is a very important practice that can allow us also to create these new pathways and to counterbalance the horrors of the trauma that has happened to us. So how do you put this into practice? To make the process even easier, I suggest writing down the practices and the memories that work for you. Please keep them where you can easily access them, like on your phone, a notebook, or even a post-it on your fridge. It can be easy to forget these practices in moments of heightened emotional responses, but having them accessible will remind you to return to them when you need them most. By consistently practicing these techniques, you are slowly but surely creating a more balanced and resilient brain, one that can hold both pain and joy, distress and peace. With patience and persistence, you can break free from the cycle of the horror images and create a new pathway for your healing. Last but not least, let us look at activities that connect you with safety and connection. As discussed in the episode about polyvagal theory, it is essential that we find practices that help us return to a state of safety and connection when we are in a state of fight and flight or a state of immobilization. These activities can be powerful tools to reconnecting with our sense of safety and also to reshape our autonomic nervous system. One activity that consistently helps me return to safety and connection is dancing. I've learned that my nervous system tends to respond to stress with dorsal vagus activation, which is a state of immobilization. Integrating dancing into my routine allows me to re-engage my body and return to a state of safety and connection very easily. It's often the last thing that I want to do, but it's very helpful for me to reconnect to safety and connection. Furthermore, it also helps me to feel joy. So it is just a really good combination. Other activities that help me connect with safety and connection include visiting the zoo or spending time in a coffee shop. These may sound simple, but I reconnect with a state of safety and connection in these environments. Usually in the zoo, I can observe children who are very happy. I can see families, and I'm in connection with other people. And similar in a coffee shop, for me, it is very soothing to have coffee and also to be around other people and just be aware of my environment. So in a passive way, there's a huge opportunity for connection. And I have clients, the last thing that they want to do in these moments is going to the coffee shop. So that is okay. So be aware your activities may really differ and your autonomic nervous system may respond very differently than mine. So we all have unique ways of reconnecting with the state of safety and connection. The key is to explore and identify the practices that work for you. The more we can connect with a state of safety and connection regularly, the more actively we can participate in our recovery. You may want to integrate more of these practices into your life and not just wait to the moment when it got really bad. So it's really about what would you like to do more of and what would really help you to get into safety and connection more often. For some people, being in nature offers a deep sense of getting back into safety and connection, whether it's walking through a park or whether it's hiking in the woods or just sitting by a lake. For others, it's activities like yoga, gardening. For some people, it's weightlifting. And for some people, it's simply sitting in a cozy space that allows them to go back to safety and connection. So I don't know what yours are, but I would really invite you to explore them for yourself and experiment with them. It is important to know that these activities don't just serve as distractions. They are intentional tools that help you regulate your nervous system and return to a state of safety and connection. Whether with yourself, others, or the environment around you, these activities offer vital moments of self-care and emotional healing, and they also give your brain a break. So when creating your safety practices, I encourage you to take some time to explore and reflect on the activities that make you feel safe and connected. If you have no idea what it is, I would invite you to start experimenting. You can list these activities, and when you notice signs of dysregulation or overwhelm, start practicing them. Remember that some practices may resonate more with you at different times and in varying emotional states. So, for example, dancing works great for me if I'm in a state of immobilization. However, when I'm in heightened anxiety, yoga practices are more useful. So really allow yourself to experiment with the different options until you find out what works best for you. By intentionally engaging in these activities that foster safety and connection, you are soothing your nervous system and you're really building a toolkit for emotional resilience. So it's a very valuable resource in your journey towards healing and well-being. This was the final trauma recovery intervention for today. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. I hope these efficient trauma counseling techniques provide you with valuable tools to support your healing journey. Remember, trauma recovery is not a linear path, and it's okay to take it one step at a time. The techniques we discussed today, from creating inner safety to connecting with activities that connect you with safety and connection, are all about giving yourself more control over your healing process and reconnecting with your body, emotions, and a sense of self. As you continue exploring these practices, know that you can adjust them to suit your needs. Healing is deeply personal, and the more you find what works for you, the more empowered you will feel. If any of these techniques resonate with you, I encourage you to try them out and see how they work. If you'd like to explore these practices further or need further support, please don't hesitate to contact me at nat@brighthorizontherapies.com. Remember, it's okay to take it slow, and you are not alone on this journey. I'm here with you every step of the way. Until next time, care for yourself and keep showing up for your healing. You deserve it. Thank you for listening.